Alright, Schlockmeister fans, a classic vampire film from the 80s. It's Fright Night. Let's check it out.
It's chilly out here.
Oh, no, it isn't. It's beautiful.
Peter Vincent, Vampire Killer.
Peter Vincent, Vampire Killer!
So while Charlie's making out with his girlfriend and watching horror movies on TV, he notices that the brand new neighbor who moved in is carrying a coffin. The next day he has a hooker come visit him.
Is this 99 Oak?
No, it's next door.
And on the news the next day, he sees that woman was found dead.
Not talking to you on the phone. Charlie, are you listening to me?
The next night, the neighbor's with another one, and he noticed he had fangs, and Mr. Fangs noticed Charlie.
How late did you stay upstairs?
Mom, I'm not sick! The guy did have fangs, and a bat did fly over my head, and a second later, he stepped out of the shadows. But don't you see what that means?
Wait, let me guess. What?
He's a vampire.
So he calls the police.
Very dandrugging at sleeping the sleep of the undead. Ooh.
What are you talking about?
He's a vampire. Uh-oh. I saw him in that room.
Vampire can't enter your house until you've been invited by the owner, and unfortunately Charlie's mom invited him over.
Hello, Charlie. Your mother would be charmed.
And he comes and pays them a visit that night.
Then I'd have to kill her, too.
Right up!
Charlie's mom wakes up before he can kill him. Another night, perhaps.
Compared to what I'm going to do to you tomorrow night.
He goes to the Peter Vincent Vampire TV host
Absolutely.
for help,
Unfortunately, none of your generation seems to be.
but he just got fired from his
What
job.
do you mean? I have just been fired because nobody wants to see vampire killers anymore. It's not a friend of yours.
But his girlfriend Amy and his best friend Evil
She's got the hots for the creep.
go to Peter Vincent to ask him for
We
help.
need your help to stop him, Mr. Vincent. You see, he really does believe his next-door neighbor's a vampire.
Attracted.
So they all go to visit him,
Ed
and
Thompson.
Jerry, the vampire, seems to recognize Amy.
Amy Peterson.
They're there to prove that he's not a vampire.
Can be.
They gave him some holy water to drink, but it
Charlie, you saw it.
wasn't really blessed.
You know as well as I do that no vampire can drink blessed water. And wasn't blessed.
As they're leaving, Mr. Vincent notices that
You too, Ed.
Jerry doesn't cast a reflection.
We have a lot of the same interests, in horror movies and the occult.
Please, Mr. Vincent, you have to tell me. Our lives depend on it.
All right. He didn't cast a reflection in my mirror.
That night, Jerry offers to turn Ed.
You don't have to be afraid of me. I know what it's like being different. They won't pick on you anymore.
A few minutes later, Jerry is stalking Amy and Charlie. Ed goes to visit Peter.
Not me.
They stop at a club where Charlie calls Peter, and Jerry finds him and gets Amy under his power. And he's got her totally mesmerized.
I don't want to kill you, Charlie. I want you to bring Peter Vincent to my house, just the two of you. That is, if you ever want to see Amy.
So he goes to get Peter for help.
What are you doing?
I'm leaving.
You can't.
What?
The Dandridge has Amy.
So Amy wakes up at the house and discovers a painting of someone who looks remarkably like her, someone that Jerry knew years ago.
She's someone I knew. Welcome to Fright Night. For real.
Peter has to flee the house and goes next door to Charlie's house to get his mom. Evil Ed's waiting there for him, and then he turns into a wolf. Peter has a steak. He watches him die, suffering, transforming back to Ed. Then he makes the mistake of pulling the steak out, though, and leaving. Charlie gets tossed into a room with Amy and discovers something. Peter goes back, and that's Billy Cole, Jerry's helper. Billy's not a vampire. We don't know exactly what he is, but he's not dead. But he doesn't like steaks in the heart either, because he starts to melt.
Show me how much you love me, Amy. Kill them both.
The attack continues, and then 6 a.m., time for Jerry to hide. Here comes Amy. Charlie struggles with Amy. He crams the steak in, but I don't think he hit him in the heart. He starts smashing windows to let the sunlight in. So Amy's okay, and Peter got rehired.
Right, Charlie.
But is Evil Ed still alive?
Oh, you're so cool, Brewster.
All right, Fright Night, 1985. Saw this when I was a kid when it first came out. So I showed up on cable. Actually, I think I may have rented it and copied it, first of all. I always liked this movie. It's a very good movie. It came out, like I said, mid-'80s. It's a vampire film, obviously. This kid, Charlie, played by William Ragsdale, he notices that a house next door has been sold, apparently, and he notices two guys carrying in a coffin after late at night. So he thinks that's odd. One night he's actually spying on his neighbor, because his neighbor has this lovely lady who gets topless. He's kind of watching through binoculars in his window, and suddenly, as Jerry, the guy who lives there, is about to make his move on her, he notices that Jerry has fangs and is about to bite her. And then Jerry's eyes catch Charlie watching him. Kind of a very freaky, scary scene there when that happens. So he realizes there's a vampire next door. Next thing you know, his mom invites the vampire over to meet him. Once you invite a vampire into your house, he can come pretty much any time uninvited now. So he visits Jerry that night and threatens him, and Jerry stabs him with a pencil. And the vampire ends up leaving, says, "I'm going to come back for you." Well, he tells all his friends, his girlfriend and his friend Evil Ed, that there's a vampire there, I plan to kill him, blah, blah, blah. They think he's crazy, of course. So Charlie goes to Peter Vincent, played by Roddy McDowall. He's a TV horror host who did a lot of horror movies years earlier, vampire killer. And he goes to him for help because he's, I guess, local. And, of course, Peter Vincent thinks he's nuts. Peter's friends go to visit him. They think he thinks they're nuts too, but he agrees to help them because they're going to pay him some money So they're all going to go over to Jerry's house and give him some holy water to see if he's really a vampire. Well, it's not really holy water. It was just regular tap water. And Jerry drinks it right down with no problem. Charlie says it wasn't blessed then. It's not blessed holy water. So anyway, that night, Jerry goes out and he turns Evil Ed into a vampire. And then he kidnaps Amy because Amy looks like some girl he knew 100 years earlier. And then he tells Peter, he tells Charlie, I want you and Peter to come to my house tonight. So they come, and there's a final showdown between all of them. Ultimately, even though Amy's been bitten, she hasn't turned into a vampire fully. They're ultimately able to get him to 6 a.m., and they kill him with sunlight. They bash all the windows open so that sunlight comes in and burns the hell out of Jerry. He's dead. They kill Jerry's helper, Billy Cole. Evil Ed had been turned. They stabbed him, or staked him, I should say, but unfortunately, Peter took the stake out of his heart, so presumably he came back to life. Amy is okay. He's rescued. Then the last scene in the movie is Evil Ed laughing, "You're so cool, Brewster." Anyway, that's the movie. They made a sequel to it, Fright Night 2, which I have. I've seen it only once, I think. I didn't think much of it. They made a remake of this, maybe in the last 2011, maybe, and I think they made a sequel to that one, too. I haven't seen either one of those, to be honest with you. But this movie, I think, is original, is well done. It's got a few chills in it, a little scariness. One brief nude scene, that topless lady in the beginning. I think it's a very good film. I'll just leave it at that. So, Roddy McDowell, Chris Sarandon, Amanda Bierce, I'm not sure you pronounce that. She was on Married with Children. I think she was the next door neighbor. And William Ragsdale, of course. So anyway, that's it. Fright Night. I really like this movie. I'm sure you do, but whatever. I'm sure everybody's seen it. Let me know what you think about it. Leave some comments. Watch it. Fright Night. Bye.